Hey guys, Joseph here. Now, it's no secret that out of all of the factions in in the normal game, I'm not counting Stalingrad as the normal game because that really just has more. It's kind of a different ball game. But out of the four main campaigns, but Berlin Soviet, I have literally said for the countless time that this is probably the most powerful campaign. And there's a good reason for that. In fact, in my series, where I've been looking at all of the campaigns through different levels, the Berlin Soviets have ended up at number one on both of them. And I wouldn't be surprised if they end up at number one on the next video, when I do that. Now, why are they the most powerful faction in the game? Well, we'll start off with, I'm just going to have to go on one thing. The first thing is, they are consistent. They are consistently good from level 1 all the way up to level 30. Right, up to level 33. Up until then, they are always been consistently good. So, and you can just look at their logistics. Look at their assault weapons. At level 1, you get the PPS 42, which I would say is a 9 out of 10 SMG. You then get the PPS 43, which is another 9 out of 10 SMG. And then afterwards you get essentially 3 10 out of 10 weapons. The PPS 41 with the box is really, really good. The PPD and the PPS obviously are 10 out of 10 weapons. The FA, I've heard mixed things on it. I've heard it looks really good. It looks like it could be a 10 out of 10 weapon. Honestly, I think this could be a 10 out of 10 weapon. I've not used it, so I'm not going to throw my judgment. So, I'll leave that to the comments. But from the looks of things, this could be a 10 out of 10 weapon. And that's just the rifles. And I mean, that's just the SMG. Look at the rifles. The SVT 40 is pretty good. The AVS is really good. And the AVT is probably better than the AVS. The AVS is already pretty good. And if you look at the machine guns, you've got basically, it just gets better and better the more it goes up. The DP27 is really good, the DPM is better, and the DT29 is incredibly good. So you've got consistency with its weapons. And the thing is, as well, these are unlocked very consistently. So you can see here, level 1 to 10, you get the SCT, you get the PPS 43, you get the DP27. After that, you get the PPS H41 with a box, you get the flamethrower, you get the DPM, and then you get the PPD from 20 onwards. And then 21 onwards, you get the AVS, you get the DT29, you get the PPSH, you get the ROKS3, the AVT, the Panzerfaust 100, the FA, and it's kind of that consistency with its ground weapons, as well as the fact that there really isn't any bad ones other than the TOS-B. And that's like, who cares about the TOS-B? I mean, obviously mortars, but no one cares about mortars. So you've got two weapons that no one cares about being the worst weapons. Other than that, you've got, I mean, sniper-wise, you've got some pretty good snipers. And, stuff like that. The only real downside, I think, is the SVT isn't as good as the Gavir, in my opinion. But who cares? It's like, who really cares when you've got, at the same time, you have the PPS 42 and 43, which are both very good. And then later you get the PPSH, and then the PPD, and the PPSH again, and they're all really good weapons. And you also get like the DP27, which is a very strong LMG. I would say it's not as good as the DPM's better. Like I mean I don't use the DPM too often, but I would say this one is slightly better than the DP27. Makes sense. It's a modified version of it, but I would say this one's slightly better, and the DT29 is just better in every way. I will still say though that stock looks insane. You've also got, and even some of the more underrated stuff, like the flamethrowers are pretty good. The Faust, obviously, really good. And of course, the AVS obviously is just overpowered. But yeah, other than that, you know, in terms of its ground weapons, you can't go wrong with it. As well as that, the weapons fit Berlin incredibly well. Like, you chuck these, like, obviously these are in Moscow. I know these are in Moscow. Like, I could show you they're in Moscow. You can see here, you know, PPD 40, PPS 41, AVS. You know, they're in Moscow and they perform well in Moscow, but they fit Berlin so well that they basically dominate in Berlin. The second reason is tanks. The Soviets don't get a bad tank. Other than maybe this one. The only bad tank they get is the Su-85. But other than that, you know, you've got the IS-1, which is pretty strong. You've got the T-34-85. Sorry. You've got the T-34-85 and the, you know, the T-34-85 DT. It's like, you start with a T-34-85, which is incredibly strong. Yeah, you get another 85 later in the campaign, which is better. But the fact is, you've got and it also has a better turret. But the thing is, with the DT, you know, it's compared it to the Germans, compared it to the Axis, who don't get a good tank until level 24. Like, yeah, they get the Panzer IV, but the J is nowhere near as good as the as a pretty powerful T-34. Like, the 85 just beats the Panzer IV. It beats the Panther as well. So base unlocks beat both German base unlocks, really. And as well as that, the 85 this 85 is really good as well. The fact that you can get it, like, as a gold order just makes it even better. And then you have the IS-1, which is just the T8, which is just the 85 but better. So yeah, you've got essentially better tanks than the Germans. What about planes? You know, obviously the planes must be pretty good, must be pretty bad. Well, honestly, the planes are on par with the Axis. I would say the IL-2, despite it being a flying brick and taking 10 years to turn, is still unbelievably powerful. And I've shot down planes with this thing. I've shot down Stukas with this thing. I've shot down ME-410s with this thing. BF-19s with this thing. It's not the best dogfighter, don't get me wrong. I will say it's not the best dogfighter. Obviously, it's one of the worst. But with the new cannon change, this thing will can take down planes. As well as having rockets and bombs, it's really good. Especially, in my opinion, compared to the other IL-2, which doesn't have the rockets, and has less bombs, or even these, which don't even have rockets or bombs. Like the YAG and... yeah. And, you know, even later, you know, stuff like the YAG-19 and stuff like that, which... I mean, some of them are good, and are good for dogfighting, but I'd say the IL-2 is probably one of the better bombers in the game. So really, you've got really strong fighters. So you've got really strong fighters and bombers, incredibly strong vehicles, and an unbelievably strong infantry. So where they must fall to in their gold orders, maybe. I get, like, the problem with the gold orders is that none of them are pretty bad either. The weakest one is definitely the PDM, which I would say is definitely one of the weakest gold orders in the game, especially in Berlin, so in Soviet Berlin. But I would still argue that it's not as bad as, you know, some other gold order weapons in the game. The PPD is pretty strong, especially if you get this early. and the suppressed weapons, the suppressed PPD, it's just I mean, you get this immediately. It's just a PPD it's just you basically get a free maxed out PPD, which is pretty good to say the least. And also you've got the RM, which is just flavour really. Like I've got one because why not? I mean the RM is okay, but it's not the best. Like I don't really have a lot to say about this campaign. I'm just gonna be glossy. Like I mean, there's a few other things like, for example, the fact that they've just got a lot of assaulters and a lot of assault weapons, and the fact that basically you can just basically throw anything on their soldiers and they'll be really powerful. But yeah, basically, also there's of course the armor, which some squads get. They get this armor. The flamethrower squads get it, and the assaulter squads get it, I believe, and they're the only ones I think they're the only two that get it. But basically, it is a flat. Hitting this armor basically actually does less damage. It's only a small thing, and it won't really do too much against a rifle. But a flamethrower 2 with the armor and vitality, basically is probably the best. Has the most health of any unit in the game. So, yeah, pretty strong, and yeah, not really much more to say about the Soviets. They're incredibly strong, and everyone knows why. Anyways, I'm going to end the video here. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Leave your thoughts in the comments, what you guys think. And I'll see you guys in the next video.